Never before has it been simpler for Americans of the middle class to feel engulfed by consumption. Americans likely currently own more material goods than any other culture in history, notwithstanding the recession, a brief intermission when savings rates skyrocketed and credit card debt decreased. For context, in 2014, the LA Times published an article discussing the excessive amounts of stuff Americans have in their homes. It was estimated that the typical American household at the time had 300,000 items, from pushpins to toasters. Children in the United States make up only 4% of the world's population, but they have about half of the world's toys and books. One survey found that 3/4 of garages were too full to accommodate the owner's vehicles. It is safe to infer that we have more stuff now than we did a year ago, given how much we have spent on indoor comforts. Conspicuous consumption has become almost too easy, with the advent of one-click shopping and same-day delivery. Hi, and welcome back to Fascinating Self. Today we will take a hit at consumerism and explain how you can save upwards of $100,000 with minimalism. Stick with us to the end of the video to discover minimalism-inspired tips you can use to make your wallet great again. Tip number 1. Use the 72-hour. Instant pleasure elicits a pleasant response from our brains, so many of us struggle to maintain a healthy weight or financial stability. When we want something, especially food, we do not want to wait if we do not have to. There must be some time between getting the money and spending it, so that you may plan how to use it wisely. Less time to deliberate is more likely rash spending. Even worse is when one begins making plans for the expenditure of money before the actual deposit of that money into one's account. Waiting is acceptable. Use those 72 hours to clarify your priorities. The idea is to evaluate every financial decision in light of how it affects your progress toward your financial goals, whether saving for a new automobile or paying off student debt. According to a recent survey by Slick Deals, 64% of US consumers are more likely to purchase on the spur of the moment than in 2020. The same survey found that the typical monthly expenditure on spontaneous items totaled $314. The annual amount exceeds $3,700. In other words, that sum is quite substantial. Where do you stand financially relative to others? The risk of spending more than you have increased if you do not monitor your spending habits. Tip number 2. Cut back on your monthly subscriptions. Many of us enrolled in home delivery services for amusement and necessities at the outset of the pandemic. Nowadays, it is not uncommon for someone to have 10 or more active subscriptions. In addition to saving you time and being incredibly handy, subscriptions can also make excellent presents. But if the subscription is not delivering on its promised benefits, it is nothing but a waste of money and space. There has never been a time of greater unpredictability. But there is one business model that appears to flourish in the face of uncertainty, and that is subscriptions. Not just streaming services like Netflix and Spotify, but real-world goods like cars, clothing, and furniture. Digital memberships cost us $640 per month, as Mint and the New York Times reported. Some apps like Truebill and Subby are made specifically for keeping track of your outlays that can help you spot wasteful spending and cut it out. The total monthly cost of renting all these items, in addition to the costs of the aforementioned services, can easily exceed $1,000. Good for their business, but not for your wallet. Tip number 3. Embrace second-hand cars. You do not have to be a minimalist to save huge chunks of cash spent on your car. The average price of a brand new car is now over $40,000, although it was just half that amount a decade ago. Every year, the average American spends over $8,000 on auto repairs and loans. More than half of all American households have at least 2 cars. Enough with the math. We are trying to express that you can spend less and save more each year if you practice frugal minimalism with your yearly automobile expenses. Buying a second-hand car rather than a brand new one is a great way to save money. You can save money by purchasing a used car even if you do not negotiate the price down from the original price. Costs associated with ownership such as registration, insurance, and depreciation will be far lower than they would be if you drove a brand new car. According to Experian, the typical monthly payment for a used vehicle financed in the second quarter of 2022 was $515, while the payment for a new vehicle was closer to $677. Choosing a used automobile over a new one can save you thousands of dollars over time, as monthly savings of over $160 pile up rapidly. Tip number 4. You don't need to replace your gadgets annually. It is prudent to purchase a replacement device for damage, misplacement, or theft, but it can be a soul-sucking dilemma to decide whether to give up an older item that is still functional in favor of a newer, flashier one. If you give in to the pressure to upgrade your technology too frequently and too soon, you may end up with a product that offers minor improvements over the previous model, a huge credit card bill, and the sinking realization that you fell for a company's deceptive marketing. Consumers in today's technology-driven society are always on the lookout for the next big thing. Consumers should not mistake purchasing a new item for investment, even though it may improve their quality of life. Electronics, like brand new automobiles, quickly depreciate in value after first being used. Prioritize maintenance or repairs. It is common for customers to rush out and buy a brand new laptop, smartphone, or tablet when their current one stops working properly or becomes damaged. Do not rush out and buy a new phone or laptop just yet. Repairs are usually far less than buying brand new ones. For instance, replacing an iPhone screen costs an average of $90, while mending liquid damage on a laptop often costs $200 to $250. Tip number 5. Get a side hustle. By consciously deciding to have fewer possessions and undertake fewer activities, a minimalist frees up more of their time to devote themselves to what matters to them. Time is no longer consumed in the administration of surplus and superfluous items. Put it another way, you will have more time to focus on the things that matter to you, like starting a business on the side. When you adopt a minimalist lifestyle, you will have a greater desire to fix things rather than buy new ones. This do-it-yourself ability can be taken to the next level and used to supplement your income. The potential for do-it-yourselfers to sell online is enormous. Customers seeking a one-of-a-kind handcrafted item are drawn to their business because of the originality of their creations. Amazon is not the best place to look for hard-to-find creative supplies. You can start a business with a smaller investment by making and selling handmade goods such as soap, printed throw pillows, resin jewelry, and individualized table linens and washcloths. What's more, some of these items can be fashioned from common household clutter. Making and selling these items can net you $1,000 each month. Tip number 6. Rent extra space in your house. As was mentioned earlier, most people have far too much unnecessary stuff. The minimalist lifestyle encourages discarding all unnecessary possessions. After giving away your unused belongings, you may find yourself with an empty room or garage. In the end, renting out unused space in your home or garage might bring in much-needed income that can be used toward other bills, such as your mortgage. Let us imagine you have a $100,000 loan at 4.5% interest and your payment is $635 a month. If you keep going like this, you will be doing this for another 2 decades. But if you charge $500 monthly for a room in your house and apply that money toward your mortgage, you will be debt-free in 9 years. What about Airbnb? You can make upwards of $10,000 annually through this popular site. And if you're up to the effort of effectively owning a hotel, it's not a bad way to go. However, you will need to reside in a heavily visited region. Do not let the opportunity to earn rent on extra space in your home pass you by. Tip number 7. Cook at home. We do not often have one thing in our lives that affects health, comfort, culture, social ties, location, and the family budget like food does. When money is tight, it is important to ask how to best nourish oneself without compromising on cultural traditions, deliciousness, convenience, or contentment. Constant food advertising in today's competitive consumer culture makes it tough to avoid the latest and greatest in unhealthy snack foods. Indeed, the newest offering guarantees to make you healthier, smarter, thinner, younger, better, more beautiful, hipper, more loved, and a better parent. You will feel more refined, get a break, and finish things faster if you do this, and it will not do much to improve your health for the extra money. However, a growing trend that frugal families can get behind is the rise of artisanal foods. These are meals that are not mass-produced, but rather are crafted by hand. In addition, if you prepare your own meals, you can save about $5 for every meal. Tip number 8. Watch out for big purchases. The mental barrier you must overcome is one of the hardest parts of making a big purchase. You spend a lot of your own money, you take a risk on a big investment, and you might change your mind. Even for a buyer with a lot of experience, closing a big financial deal can cause worry and stress. Before you think about buying, you need to look honestly at your finances. Can you manage the acquisition with your current earnings, debts, and other costs? Everyday purchases cannot be negotiated, but if you are smart, you might be able to get a discount when you buy a house or car. When you are paying $400,000, you might not care about a $1,000 discount at the next dealership, but that money can go a long way toward paying off any other bill. That is all for today, folks. If you want to save more in your minimalist journey, watch our video on frugal hacks for living a minimalist life. See you in the next one.